Hi, this is Matthew from Love Buddy. Today we're going to talk about love and money, but first I want to apologize. We're an hour late today. I woke up not feeling well. I took a little bit of medicine to help me rest early this morning and kind of knocked me out. I took some ibuprofen. Ibuprofen, like Advil or some of the other brands, really works well for me to help me get some rest. So I got some rest, but I apologize I'm an hour late for anybody who was expecting me to live up to my promise. My promise is to make this video available every day of the week, 7 days a week at 10 a.m. New York time. And I apologize because now it's 11 o'clock. So for those of you who were expecting me to be there, I apologize for not being there. Being there an hour late now. Anyway, today talking about money and love and money. Money to me, it's a really huge topic because money kind of makes the world go around for a lot of us. And if we look at Wall Street, if we look at the whole area of commerce, if we look at even the military spending, the military industrial complex, it's driven by money. And if you look at the invasion of other countries for their resources, there's a lot of talk about Afghanistan having an incredible amount of mineral deposits, and that's why that was a focus of the U.S. military, not so much having to do with the Taliban or people. People died by a million. Hutus and Tutsis were murdering each other and slashing each other, throwing them in the river during Clinton's regime. Nothing was done about it. But somebody's got some oil, a little country like Kuwait, nobody's really getting hurt. Saddam Hussein is going in there because it used to be a province, I understand. When I was in Kuwait and talking to the people who lived there, I was talking to the Kuwaitis, especially, not everybody could speak English, but there was a lot of English there. I said, what was this thing about Saddam Hussein coming in and invading? Was that a big problem? And are you really happy that America, the U.S. military, come in and save the Kuwaitis? Was that a really great thing? And what I got back from every single Kuwaiti that I spoke with was, he's one of us, and we kind of knew what was going on, and it wasn't any big deal, and we didn't really want America to get involved. That's what I heard. You can talk to other Kuwaitis that might say something different, but was that about oil? Yeah. Was it about money? Yes, because so many things. Are there any military invasions? Are there any wars in the world that aren't about acquiring resources based upon the money system, based upon the concept of scarcity, based upon the fact that if you have more money, you have more power in this world? So instead of people thinking about and focusing on supporting each other, loving each other, nurturing each other, getting along well, sharing the resources that we have, not getting involved in hurting someone else's right to life, right to happiness, but cooperating together. Maybe this guy, okay, religion's a good example. This guy believes in this guy believes in this guy, that's fine. I'm not a religious person myself. I found that religion took me away from love. It put me toward the dogma of the religion, took me toward the traditions of the religion, the rituals, but that took me away from love. It took me away from feeling equal to everyone else. When I was in religion, I felt like, wow, I know the secret, and they got to know the secret too about how important love is, or how important God is. I was just thinking, maybe I'm being a hypocrite because I'm talking about love, but I'm hoping that love is much more universal than the specific kind of religions that come up and people worship. But that's okay. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say what's right for somebody else. So when it comes to me living in a neighborhood, if you're one religion, this guy's another religion, hey, let's just get along regardless. We can't get everybody believing in what we believe in ourselves, but we can hope to find a common denominator, a common foundation, so that we can get along. Well, when it comes to money, we're pulled off of that. We're pulled off of the ability to say, I want the best for that guy, because if that guy's my customer, I want to get money, and usually people want to get as much money as they can. People get the idea that I don't want to work hard. I want life to be easy. And there are so many stories. And I was involved in multi-level marketing. Once again, this is a huge topic, this topic of money. So I'm just going to gently brush on some of the basic principles of how money affects our lives, how money affects the world, and how money takes us away from being able to love each other. Multi-level marketing, or what they're calling network marketing now, people used to call pyramid schemes, but it wasn't necessarily that. A lot of them were structured in different ways. But one thing I noticed, because I got involved in about a half a dozen different multi-level marketing companies, and that was greed and fantasy, driven by greed and fantasy. So there's this idea of being able to be really rich, having your downline, which is all the people that are your customers and the customers of your customers, and you get a piece of the action. You get a little money every time somebody buys whatever the product is, whether you had anything to do with it or not. And how that works is you find somebody who's a super salesperson, and they go out and they sell, and you make money off of them, whatever the product is. So the idea is, hey, they sell you on this idea that you're going to get so rich. Look at this guy, and they'll point to people that are at the top of the organization, or top of the pyramid, if you want to use that word. And they've got a new Rolls Royce, so they got this big house, and they got the pool, and then they got the trips to Hawaii, and all of these things. And look at what this guy, and this guy, he works an hour a day, or this kind of thing. Now, the new version of that are internet millionaires, and there are a lot of internet millionaires out there. A lot of people make a lot of money from the internet. But a lot of times it's sold as a way that it's called passive income. Money you don't have to work for. Now, if we're not doing something for somebody else, who's doing it? If you're working in a country like America, where we're leveraging the hard work of other people around the world, there are like 3 billion people. There are about 7 billion people on the planet. About 3 billion of us don't have fresh water. They live on $2 a day. So who do you think is benefiting from that? A lot of people do a lot of really hard work and get paid very little. And when it comes to money, there's this idea that, wow, I want to find the guy who's going to work hard, who's going to be really cheap. That's why we have money. That's why money is the center. So it influences our thinking. What about quality? When we look at quality, when we look at corporations, here's another key thing. Corporations, they make the decisions based upon what the board of directors want to do. Whether it's a pharmaceutical company that's trying to release a drug as quickly as possible and faking tests, or whether it's a company that makes a soft drink and they're releasing studies that say their soft drink isn't harmful. Cigarette smoking, is it amazing that all of the people that are at the top of the cigarette companies were saying it didn't cause cancer, that it wasn't conclusive? This is a beautiful way to lie and not be accountable. It's not really conclusive. We don't really know for sure that cigarettes cause cancer, but we do know that for sure. But these guys didn't know. Why? Because of their money. Now, if these guys were working on the other side, they were lawyers for the prosecution and working for the plaintiffs, working for the people that were prosecuting and trying to get the cigarette companies to pay for their chemotherapy bills or whatever. Then they take the other stance based upon money. So money's the motivation. Money is the motivation for what is true, what is right, and what is wrong. If it's your company that's being attacked and someone's saying, oh, the products are defective, or something's wrong with your product, of course you're going to be offended. Why? Because that's your livelihood. That's your money. And because we're dependent upon this money, this flow of money to pay our bills, and for a lot of us, based upon greed, we want the big house, we want the cars, we want the trips, we want the easy life. We don't want to be serving humanity in a reasonable way because that's not really being introduced. There's no sense of community to where we're saying, oh, let's spend 4 or 5 hours every Sunday or half an hour every morning cleaning up the neighborhood, or helping a neighbor repair their house, or helping in the vegetable gardens and things like that, where we're all kicking in together. This is the way humanity works. This is the way humanity is meant to work, where we don't do everything for money. But what's happened is the money system has become so powerful, so strong from the day we're born. Everything that we do is based upon being driven towards money. And it's unfortunate that some of the best and brightest, some of the most nurtured in the United States, for example, Some of the ones that have the best chances, they have the network, they're raised in a family that has a lot of resources and has a lot of connections. They get the education. Everything they do is bent towards money. Here's another huge principle, and that is people who have never been hungry, they don't know what it's like to be hungry. They don't know what it's like to be without. And I was talking to a woman yesterday who said, to be poor is a choice. When I tried to explain to her, I know what it's like. I'm a person who's made very good money before as a software developer, and I'm a person who's had nothing to eat for a week and been hungry before and just had water for 10 days or something like that. And because of how I've lived my life, that's what happened. I had opportunities, I had networks that I could fall back on. But when I didn't have that network, when I didn't have that environment, when I didn't have those resources, I was living in Malaysia. Another time I was living in China. And when I was in China, I knew people on a superficial level. They were very friendly on a superficial level. But when the SARS disease hit, and I was just outside Beijing, my little town, they shut down. I couldn't leave. They said if I left, I couldn't come back. I was teaching English. I lost all my students because all the schools closed. I couldn't go to a restaurant because all the restaurants closed. I didn't have any food. There was one guy that I knew and he helped me out. I had a hard drive that I sold him for a really low price. And I got a little money for food and I was able to kind of scrape through. And there were a couple people that helped me. But in general, I became almost suicidal because of how everything had shut down, because everything was based upon money. There wasn't any community there. So when we look at the influence of money in the world, it takes away from community. It takes away from brotherly love. Because when people are driven by money and they're focusing on money, you'll see that it causes a lack of community, it causes a lack of cooperation, it causes a lack of us being able to work together as human beings. So when you're looking at running a country, when you're looking at running a military, when you're looking at running a business, when you're looking at the real estate industry, for example, there are enough homes in America that were repossessed, that were shut down. There are enough homes to house all the homeless. There are easily enough resources to feed everyone. Easily enough homes for people to live in that don't have to live on the street. There are easily so many people that children in Chicago, thousands that go to school without breakfast because their family doesn't have money. People living under overpasses. Why? It's all about money. That only happens because of money. And this idea that we have a choice about being poor or rich, you haven't lived those lives, you haven't been in that environment. I have been in a situation where there's nobody in the world that was willing to help me. When you look on the internet, you look at people, I have some friends in Palestine, and there's a lot of poverty there. And then you look at the people there, these guys are asking, just please kind of help us out. We're doing something for Ramadan, and we're really trying to have a special holiday where we can celebrate and where we can have just a little bit more food than we normally have, which is very, very little, because there's so much poverty there because of the siege on that area. So you can see how people that are the best and the brightest when it comes to working the system, and they're in a very high level of leverage in the system. They have networks, they have money, they have a place to live. They've given a car. As soon as they're able to drive, they've got a car. They don't have to work for the car. They don't have to work for a home. That's given to them. They don't have to work for the education. That's given to them. And when they get out of school, they're given a job. So they're not out there scrounging. People like that, they have no clue what it's like to be someone, in sub-Saharan Africa They have to walk, several kilometers every morning just to get dirty water, just to get any water. So a great amount of time is spent just to get some water. And there's no clean water. And so we have thousands of children dying every day in these regions because they don't have a few cents of clean water. And what do we have? We have people in Beverly Hills, right, on Rodeo Drive, buying, $1,500 handbags. How much water would that buy for so many people every day? Well, it's not my problem. Nothing I do. Well, the reason why our focus gets taken away from how can we help other people that are really in trouble. These people are just as precious as that woman who's buying that handbag. I have a tendency to say they're more precious, but I don't want to be judgmental of that woman who's buying a handbag. But it is very frustrating to see the kind of focus and the kind of resources that go towards these ridiculously luxurious items. Great, have your luxury, but what's the priority? Shouldn't we feed and clothe, make sure that they're safe and healthy, all the people on the planet, before we get that second Mercedes, or before we get that house, that vacation home, or before we get that $1,500 handbag? Money. Money is the thing, the money system, and money is what focuses on that. Well, a lot of people say, oh, here's another major point. People say that it's not money, but it's the love of money. Okay. It's not lack of water that makes you die of thirst. It's the love for water. Not really. Water is a necessity. The money system is a necessity. So the idea that money can be good, if people come back with this idea, yeah, but it's money that feeds and money that drives charities. So when you give to a charitable organization, when you give cash, that helps them. Well, it's very marginal. It's not direct. And it doesn't really work. Because when we have people that are consuming 100 times, when you look at the chart of income for CEOs in America, they can make 4,000 times what the lowest paid person gets. In Japan, it's something like 38 times ratio. It's hard to believe. I need to look into those statistics more because it just seems so incredible that a Japanese CEO compared to their janitor, the lowest paid person, whoever that would be, is something like 38 times. And then an American CEO, or maybe somebody who's the head of a huge company in America, they can make thousands of times what the lowest paid person makes. Well, this inequality, as long as we have this kind of an inequality, where we value this person so much more than this person, to the point, to the person who's on the bottom, could be a woman who's got a single mother who's got a couple of babies she's trying to feed, and she's working for minimum wage at a fast food place. Is there some kind of, is that how money is good? If you tell me this guy, this millionaire, Bill Gates does a lot of great things. Warren Buffett is doing a lot of great things. So I don't want to knock them. But if you want to tell me that these guys are so much more valuable than that woman, they're not. If you want to say that their shrewdness with business and their shrewdness with money is somehow equal to this woman's love for her children and trying to give them an education, who should resources be given to, right? If we use money as the measure of value, we're going to be leaning towards always, how can I make more money? Not how can I help people. That's an afterthought. That's a necessity, because when the board of directors of a company says our soft drink is causing cancer, our soft drink is causing kids to be obese, or it's causing diabetes or something like that, then we got to find a way. How can we spin? How can we keep the money coming in, but how can we make a spin on that so that we look on the surface that, wow, there's nothing wrong with it, just don't overdo it like anything else. You don't want to overdo, carrots, because that'll kill you too. It'll turn your skin orange. So drink our soft drink, have a great time, and just don't overdo it. And there's nothing wrong. It's not going to hurt your health. Great. So now they're good guys again. Why? What were they driven toward? Instead of making a soft drink that doesn't have that sweet spot, that balance, that perfect balance that's addictive, that makes them sell more so they can get more money. Instead of doing that, they don't think about, maybe we can make something that's nutritious. Something that you could have a gallon a day of and it's not going to hurt you, instead of something that you can only really have 6 ounces a day of. Why? They're driven by money. So because the corporations are more driven towards what the board of directors says, we got to find a way to work money. Another basic principle, and here I'll wrap it up with this. Another huge principle has to do with the service industry. If you look at Back to the Future, with starring Michael J. Fox when that came out, he's walking by a gas station and a car pulls up in the gas station and everybody's running to clean the windows, check the oil, pump the gas. Incredible level of service. Now we get none of that. Now we pull up, there's a guy maybe in a booth who's overlooking things, or he's reading a magazine, reading a comic book or something like that. You put your card in and the card automatically charges. The level of labor, the level of service that human beings give to each other anymore is ridiculously low. That only happens because of greed. That only happens because the world is money driven. It's not service driven. It's not community driven. It's not let's help each other out driven. So money is pushing us to the point to where we're helping each other less and less. We're doing less and less for each other. Where does all the money go? Where does all those resources go? Why is it that we've created the combine that can plow a field, maybe in 2 hours that would take 2 weeks before, or even longer, with manual labor? When we have this automation, we have all this industrial. When we had the Industrial Revolution, things become more automated. Now we even have robotics that can run a whole fast food restaurant, cook it and clean it and all that stuff and serve it. What happened to all that money? Well, all that money gets sucked up, and so it's not about money. It's not about the money. It should be about us helping each other, us serving each other, not having passive income where we're doing nothing and we're getting rich. This is such a huge, incredible deception. Why should you get rich for doing nothing? Shouldn't we be out there helping each other? Shouldn't we be out there serving each other? Don't destroy technology. Keep the technology and keep the community and keep helping each other. We don't want jobs. We don't want to destroy technology. We don't want to say, oh, this new robot's going to take away jobs. Wonderful. Take away jobs, destroy jobs. Don't worry about that. Put in its place the ability to serve each other better, the ability to have a community where we're doing what needs to be done. How about the entire medical industry in America? What the heck is that about? I'll tell you what it's about. You already know what it's about. It's money-centered. It has nothing about the patient. That's why we got people dying. That's why we say, oh, your healthcare plan is not going to cover that operation. So the guy goes to hospice and he dies instead. Aren't there a lot of human beings out there who would say, look, take care of me, I'll take care of you. I know how to do that operation. I know how to handle that. So we become so resistant. We become so unable, unwilling to help each other because, hey, the healthcare program's not going to handle that. If you want to make a list, you can make a list of thousands of problems that are all because we're money-centered, because we're focused on money. And one of them is this whole healthcare problem in America. Look, if you have community, if we're helping each other, if we're not trying to make passive income, or if we're not trying to buy another yacht because the doctor's a brain surgeon, or because he's whatever he is. We all have great skill and great talent in some area. Let's help each other out, not based upon trying to make a buck, not based upon trying to have the better vacation in a more of an exotic place where we're doing nothing for weeks to help anybody. We can all take a break. It's all okay. But look at it this way. If you want to set your life up so you're not helping anybody, which is what money says to do, that's not love. And if it's not love, if it's a money-centered world, just take a look at the news any day at any time. Just take a look at what's happening when it comes to us living together in harmony. and ask yourself, is a money-centered world bringing us happiness, bringing us healthy families, bringing us joy in our lives, bringing us peace and security? Is money driving us to be kind to each other and help each other and get help ourselves when we need it? Or is love going to do that? We're living in a money-centered world, pretty much all of us, to a greater degree. And that's what's driving what's going on. And that is a major cause of what's happening. If we were to be able to transition over to a love-centered world, imagine how the kids in sub-Saharan Africa would get their hands on clean water, would be able to have an education, and how that lady with that handbag might have to make a different choice. My name is Matthew. This is Love Buddy. Please look at the notes. You can go to lovebuddy.com. You can go to the Facebook Love Buddy page. And there's also a page called Money Buddy. And I've shared a link to that. And every day, a couple times a week, every week I share several thoughts about money and the money system. There's a book coming out called Money Evil. Is money evil? How does money affect the world? Talking about money and its influences. A lot of things that I just brushed upon, and a lot more in the book about money. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope that we can learn more about money's effects, how it really is affecting the world, and learn more about love, what genuine love is. Not the love so many of us misunderstand and we misuse that word, but what genuine love is and how that can make a difference in our lives. Thank you so much again for listening. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 p.m. New York time. I'm in the Philippines, so it's 10 a.m. our time. Today I was an hour late. Normally I go about 30 minutes. And have a wonderful day. This is Matthew from Love Buddy. I love you. See you tomorrow.